Rusher and Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Rob Rushing from Punk Rock Saves Lives.
Nice. Well, you save lives with Punk Rock Saves Lives, because Punk Rock does. And Angela, my partner in crime at Punk Rock Bowling, saved your life by doing your hair.
Yeah, give me a little fresh shave just now, so my mohawk is standing up a little better, and my head's going to be cooler because it's freaking hot out here.
I know, right? You look like a new man. You look like now like you're like one of the kids out there.
As long as I can keep my voice, that's
the important. So, for people that don't know what the organization does and what it's all about, let's hear the story.
All right, I'll give you the quick pitch. We're a nonprofit founded in 2019 that tours with bands and festivals encouraging punks to do good things. Those good things fall typically into wellness and equality initiatives. We do a lot of marrow drives to save lives from cancer. We ask you to get your cheek swabbed at a show. If you ever match someone independently, not independently, what's the word I'm looking for? On a cellular level that you could possibly donate to them, they call you and you can donate stem cells or marrow to save a life. We do harm reduction at every show. We have an awesome little box at the table every show, anywhere from earplugs all the way to Narcan free. One of the big things at festivals, sunscreen. It's like literally sitting right
especially here today.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but if you woke up after walking around a festival with no sunscreen on, woo, not good.
Especially if you're like a goth. Not a good feeling if
like
you're
me.
pasty white,
Yeah, Irish white guy. Whoa!
Watch out. Yeah, that's bad news. That's a bad combination.
We also work deeply to try to get mental health resources out to people. We're building a database of mental health professionals around the country we can call in a crisis with someone. If someone calls us, we can get them to some therapy, maybe get them to see them that first time for free, and then they can work out from there and get the real tools. And then we even have a sober curious group if people need that. We don't preach sobriety, but if you call us and need that, we've got not only people that can talk to you. We just sent our first musician through Bradley's house, which is a rehab center built by the family of Bradley Noel, the Noel Foundation, lead singer of Sublime that we lost back in the 90s.
Yeah.
They save lives from addiction in his honor.
I just saw them last week at Rockville with Jacob singing.
Jacob was
like
2 months old when Dad died?
I know, something like that. He sounds just like him.
Oh, it's
uncanny. And what a great frontman for being new.
And he's been doing stuff for about 2, 3, 4 years. He's a phenomenal singer.
Yeah,
just a great kid too. So,
and does he set an example based on what happened to his father?
I would think he would have to.
Yeah, I would think so too.
He might have never actually known his father.
Right.
But he's lived with what not only the legacy music-wise that, Sublime might not be your taste, but they were a lot of people's taste. And that kid has had those expectations probably dumped on him his entire life.
Totally.
And he hasn't let it drown him.
Which is what's cool about it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I would have never thought he would have came into the limelight like that.
I really don't think he wanted to be the singer of Sublime at first. He wanted to, he basically set his own thing out there.
Right.
And got that going. And then I think he got to the point where the legacy was ready and he was ready to try the legacy. And it seems great. I mean, it's nothing against Rome. I'm glad Rome kept Sublime alive all those years, if that's your thing. But having Bradley in the fold is like really like looking at his dad. It's amazing. So.
Yeah, totally. So. And I think it's a great thing, and I think it might also speak to people just in general that here's a kid that could have ended up who knows what, you know, like
who knows?
And here he is, and he appears to me to be a pretty stable kid that is really, you know, following his own dreams, not just his father's dreams.
Yeah, and I can definitely tell you that his and Bradley's family have been amazing to Jacob, and they're amazing people. So he's been able to have an amazing back source, and that's
cool.
We don't all have that.
No, I didn't.
There's probably half the people out here that come from broken homes, if not more.
Yeah, my idea of the help you're giving people now is sleeping on a floor in Motel Hell in Hollywood.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
that's what I did.
Yeah.
You know, and that wasn't help.
I was honestly lucky. My mom and my stepfather, amazing, and let me be me. They got a little disappointed when I, got into college and decided to go into rock and roll instead of in punk rock instead of maybe being a doctor or something.
Right.
But but they're incredibly proud of me, and over the last, counting my time with Love, Hope, Strength, and then becoming Punk Rock Saves Lives, they're really proud of the legacy I'm trying to build and encourage good. And I can't do any of this without my wife, you're sitting here and you see our amazing volunteers.
Yes.
Nobody here we have 2.5 employees in America. Our entire payroll is $120,000.
Wow.
So 3 people making $120,000. That's it.
Wow.
Not each.
See, that's what I
We're
love.
talking separate.
There's so many organizations that all the money goes towards people's salaries and stuff. That's why I like organizations like yours.
We didn't want it to be that way. My wife and I are the founders, and the 2 that are out here on the road the most. And then we have Jay. If anybody remembers Larry and his Flask, amazing, crazy folk band. Did tons of Warped Tours. Jamin. Jacob. We were talking Jacob.
I know, right?
Jamin from Larry and his Flask is our behind-the-scenes employee, does all of our advancing on the tours and everything. And he's actually my stage manager here for our after shows at Hogs and Heifers.
That's cool. And, it's funny. I'm looking at the logo on your shirt, and it's tripping me out because, unlike you, I have no tattoos, but there was one I was going to get when I was a teenager, and that was the New York hardcore tattoo.
Yeah, we definitely riffed on that. The hardcore scene is. I'm an amazing proponent of PMA, and
Me too.
We can go. To me, it goes back to Joe Strummer and Bad Brains, The Alarm, everything. But then the next generation, you got Toby Morse, you got H2, Toby and H2O, and bringing the PMA. Brian and the Souls, Bouncing Souls, always bring the PMA. Just so many bands. My ultimate favorite band of all time is 7 Seconds.
Nice.
I worked for The Alarm, one of my favorite bands of all time, for basically 15 to 17 years.
Yeah, you and I talked about that.
We just lost my mentor Mike Peters a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
it's been really sad, but also we're looking back now and starting to celebrate what we did together. There's probably 500,000 people in America and in Europe on the Marrow Registry because of his. He wanted to fight cancer on his terms, and he fought it unbelievably for 30 years.
Yeah.
And we gave so many people a chance in that, and we still are every day. That's why we still do Marrow drives, is to help people beat leukemia. So, but to the Kevin Seconds thing. This is what I love about Punk Rock Bowling. Walking out of my hotel this morning to go get we got up early this morning. I went to bed after working last night with Buck 09 I went to bed at 4 a.m.
I believe that.
They came off stage at 3:30. It was an amazing experience. I had to get up. We got up. We had made plans with U.S. vets here. Today's Memorial Day, guys. It's, I'm anti-war. I'm not anti-soldier.
I am the same exact way, okay? I don't even understand why people are anti-soldier that are anti-war. They don't choose the wars. They're doing what I'm not willing to do to defend our freedom and what have you, but they're told what to do. They're not making any of the decisions.
Yeah, well, and there's another way to look at this, too. How many of our punk rock kids would have an avenue in life had they not had the military?
True.
Maybe they didn't have the best home life. Maybe they didn't have any money. And the military gave them a structure, gave them money. If they can do a certain amount of time, they get the GI Bill to pay for college, if that's what they want it for. A lot of them can buy a house because they did some military service. I can't fault someone if that's your only avenue.
Yeah.
I absolutely despise that they have to go to war, especially in modern times, over commercialism.
Yeah,
and that's all it is. And it's money now. It has nothing to do with.
My grandmother, when I was a little kid, told me about this book that she read, and this is then, talking like 50 years ago. And she said the book talked about how every war ever in history was planned ahead of time, planned who was going to win, who was going to lose, and who was going to get what money and power.
Yeah, that's amazing. And bass drum just started kicking, so if we kind of muted out on you there. That's the fun part about being in a music festival. There's the sound checks. It's so like be anti-war and be against the powers that be just advancing their initiative, but don't fault the kid that got stuck in the middle of it.
The soldier's brainwashed anyway. They think they're
definitely
doing things for another reason than what's actually going on.
And they can be sold one path and sent down another.
100%.
But walking completely back, I'm good at that's what's good about a conversation like this is you can go in and out. Walking out of the hotel this morning, I look over and I hear my name and I look over and it's Kevin Second standing there, and he was like really tired from doing the museum and playing their show and everything, and he goes, "Hey Rob, I'm flying home," and he gave me a big hug. And I said, "Kevin, I just want to remind you, man, I know you're the most modest dude in the world, but we're doing what we're doing with Punk Rock Saves Lives and trying to be the examples we're trying to be based on stuff I listened to you talk about when we were kids."
Nice.
And he's not much older than me, so I say we were kids. But, when I heard 7 Seconds at 14, 15 years old, that changed the world.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to be, I grew up in the Deep South. You didn't have to be racist. You didn't have to be sexist. You didn't have to be better than someone. You could walk together, rock together. And somehow here I am at 55 trying to continue that going.
I love it.
So it's a pretty cool thing to run into your heroes and they don't let you down. So.
It's true, because that doesn't always happen. Or sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
But a lot of times in this punk scene, a lot of times in this punk scene, especially punk rock bowling, you walk into idols every day. I've had the dear fortune of becoming really good friends with Greg Norton over the last few years. And Husker Du, once again, you get into 7 Seconds, you get into Black Flag, you get into SST. Oh, who's there?
Yeah.
Husker Du.
And what a great set last night.
Oh my God. Those guys destroyed. It was so good. His band is just, he's got some great.
You got to see them live, because just listening to their music doesn't tell the whole story. I mean, I was there to witness it, and I was like, they are freaking good.
Yeah, and just
the energy.
Yeah, and watching Greg just jump up and down and play, never miss a chord on that bass, and Derek on drums is just, he did so many of the Social Distortion albums.
Yeah,
and he's just a machine, and it's perfect, and he's the groove in the pocket is just perfect. And then they brought in the second guitar player now from Soul Asylum.
Yeah.
Which is a weird, you wouldn't think, but man.
I was kind of shocked because I'm like, I didn't want to say it when I was interviewing him. I'm like, Soul Asylum, why'd you bring that into play? And not for a negative reason. It's just so out in left field.
You know, they were called Husker Du Jr. when they first came out.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, when they came out of Minneapolis, them and the Replacements kind of got pigeonholed as Husker Du wannabes.
Wow.
And they both ended up being legends in different avenues. You know, the Replacements, I'm one of those people that doesn't believe in gatekeeping, and I think the Replacements were a punk band. I think they became incredible musicians and everything, which punk bands can be.
Yeah.
I don't
listen,
believe in the 3 chords, no waiting thing.
Well, that's how you start, because you'll know the beauty of punk rock was you could be a kid, start a band, and not know what the hell you were doing.
Yeah, but
you learn over the years.
Think about like a Wilhelm Scream, and we could name 20 more. Tonight, Cigar. They're such amazing musicians, every single one of them, and they're so technical, but the heart of it is straight up punk rock.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's so badass.
Yeah. And, you know, I got to tell you, too, as far as the punk rock scene, you talked about gatekeeping. I was just talking about this with Angela walking in. You know, I moved to L.A. from Jersey 1980. Like, that was the time.
That was the point. Yeah.
That was the time.
In the LA scene, that was the explosion.
And there was so much gatekeeping. Okay, so the first club show I ever went to in my life, where I came out of that thing, I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to a real concert again, was at the Roxy on the Sunset Strip, Motley Crue, before they had an album, when they were more horror punk.
Horror punk, yeah.
Yeah. They were trying to light the Roxy on fire to bring Satan in.
They wanted to be an Alice Cooper show.
Exactly.
In a tiny club.
Exactly. And I was like, oh my God. But then, you know, I found Slayer. And of course, all my Slayer friends, you got to burn your Motley Crue shit. That shit don't come here.
Slayer came from punk rock, and they will tell you that.
Well, Dave and Jeff were punk. Kerry was metal. And Tom didn't even really get into metal till he got to Slayer, which is known voice for like brutal metal just was not a metalhead. So. You know, Belladonna of Anthrax wasn't a metalhead. It amazes me, but I was telling this story, okay? So I was a long hair. I was a metalhead that loved punk, but I couldn't go to any of the punk shows. Like, there are bands I've seen in the past 10 years doing my radio coverage that I've interviewed them, and I'm like, you know, it's like a dream come true for me because I was never allowed to go to your shows in the 80s. I'm talking bands like Discharge, GBH, Exploited.
But those were the bands that really brought metal into punk.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it led to Crossover. It led to DRI. It led to, you know, and...
I remember when DRI grew their hair out. I'm like, yes.
But a lot of people were like, but you know what? People can evolve. People can be... I have said this before on interviews. I'm sure I was a gatekeeper. I know I was a gatekeeper.
I'm sure I was too. I never liked it, but I was.
Yeah, I remember saying, that's not punk. That's not punk. I made fun of my wife for liking Good Charlotte.
Right?
That was a boy band.
You know what I did to Waddy? Okay, it was at Punk Rock Bowling at a club show right before he was going on stage. And I knew exactly what I was doing. The last question I asked him before him going on stage was, so Waddy, what do you think of pop punk? Ooh, did I set him off, man. He went out on stage and he's like, fucking pop punk, you're not punk, you know. I was just sitting there laughing my ass off. But I was that same person. Like, I just brought my grandson last weekend at Rockville. His favorite band is Green Day. I brought him into the Green Day pit. And I'm one of those people who's like, Green Day, no, they're pop punk. But they weren't in the beginning. And I've gone to a couple of their live shows. I'm like, it's a really good live show, I have to admit.
They're a really great band. And I don't really know Mike or Billy Joe, but Trey's an awesome human, man.
And that's all that counts right
there.
And
you know, all these years of being in the nonprofit version of the music world, is I weigh as much if a band are good people. And this is how I overcame gatekeeping. I started meeting bands because I work with a little bit of everybody to try to save lives. And, I made fun of, to my wife for loving Good Charlotte. Now I've hung with Benji, I've hung, and fucking good guys, and they are a band.
Right.
And they did the music that they liked, and if you don't like it, you don't like it, but that's fine. You don't judge, and I feel bad because I picked on my wife about Good Charlotte. So I can tell this story because I tried to learn, I tried to evolve. And if that's the old thing, if we can all learn something every day.
No doubt.
And in this day and age, with everything going on right now, that has got to be the encouragement.
I think it's better nowadays that we don't have the gatekeeping and we're all one big happy community because, listen, I always thought it was stupid. I'm at Agora High School. There were like 3 metalheads, 3 punks, and we were all getting the shit kicked out of us by the jocks for being different. But yet we fought each other.
I somehow surfed all of
banding
those.
together, right?
Yeah, I played a bunch of sports, but I was the weird skater kid in the popular crew.
I'm all that too. Like,
it was weird because I liked metal too, and I went to high school from '84 to '88, and you punks and metalheads were not supposed to like each other.
yeah, and I went
And
80 to 84 was high school for me.
And I liked both musics,
Me too.
and I didn't know why everybody couldn't get along. So,
And I'll even go a step further. Like one of my bros, he plays in a few punk bands now to this day, but he was a metalhead first. And I found this album at his house one day that he was hiding from all of us. And I pulled out, I'm like, what the fuck is this? To this day, it's one of my favorite all-time ever albums. It was Adam and the Ants, Kings of the Wild Frontier.
what a fucking amazing album. I'm
Right?
sorry. I threw out
You
the
can
F
say
word.
it.
All
You
right.
can say it. It is a fucking amazing
It
album.
is.
But I gave him so much shit. Like, what is this new wave bullshit? But it was punk. Like, I love that jungle punk. Like, I love Bow Wow Wow. The drums in it.
I always, as you noticed already, I throw the Alarm into, I would say, and the Alarm were called Clash Jr. when they came out.
Right?
That was the diss. Even Joe Strummer dissed them, but then Joe Strummer later on admitted, I actually really liked the Alarm's music.
Well,
he was just being a punk.
Speaking of admitting it, there's somebody I've interviewed a few times now who we're now friends, and she's been here at Punk Rock Bowling. She was a new waver, and so I said to her in her interview, in one of our interviews, once I got friendly with her, I'm like, back in high school, I'm going to say something I never said before. I wasn't allowed to like you, but I really did, and now I'm here 40 years later to admit it, and it was Josie Cotton.
Oh, Josie.
And what a great human being she is. But it's like back in the day, it was so fucking stupid. Oh, they're new wave, don't like them. In the metal community,
Yeah.
It's, and then here's a good one, good story. Posers on Melrose?
Yeah.
So I wanted to get my spikes there back in the day. Metalheads weren't allowed to go there, okay? So I recruited my punk friends. I'm like, hey, and they were friends with the owner. And this is a story I was just telling outside. I'm like, bring me a poser. That's where I want to get my spikes. And so we go there. 30 seconds I'm there. The owners pull my friends aside, and my friend comes over to me. He goes, we need to leave. And I'm like, why? He goes, I'll tell you outside, we need to leave right now. And he told me outside, he's like, since we were friends with the owners, they gave us some courtesy. And he came and talked to me and said, listen, I'm going to give you courtesy. You better get that long hair out of here within 30 seconds or we're going to kick his ass. And that's how it was. It was stupid because the music was so close.
Yeah, we all have to evolve. We have to learn. And if you don't like it, you don't like it, but don't diss on someone else for liking it.
No doubt.
So,
and I used to get offended, even though I am one too, because I also like hippie music and stuff. They always called the long hairs, the metalheads, hippies. And we would be like, we're not fucking hippies. You know?
Hey, we still get the nihilist, side of punk when they come into our booth and punk rock saves lives. This is bullshit, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, if that's the way you feel,
It
walk
probably
on.
saved their life,
Yeah,
though.
and I'm like, walk on, and they, I'm not violent in any way, but I'm not a small guy, and I do have the luxury of having resting Henry Rollins face, and I can look mean when I'm not smiling, and I might be the happiest guy in the world, but if sometimes you can just cross your eyes and look mean, and they'll walk away.
Well, you know what I pull
Sometimes they'll
off?
throw a punch, but
Well, you know what I pull off, because I'm a small guy, so I'm the guy that'll go up to a 6'4", 400-pound dude and look him dead in the eye, and I will kill you right where you stand. And they're like, this dude must be fucking crazy.
Must be crazy. I'm backing down. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the pit, okay? Like, I hate the big dudes that go in the pit and try to hurt and maim people, because that's not what it's about.
No, it's
But
a release of aggression and a therapy.
No doubt. And my, my little boy, I'm going to fuck that dude up, because I'm going to come around and I'm going to lunge down like Mike Tyson and come up with an elbow and be on the other side of the pit. He won't even know what hit him. But only because he's going and trying to take out little people. Like, pick on somebody your own size.
And crowd crashers and stuff like that, there's no place for it.
No.
I get the release of the newer hardcore fans that do I don't know, karate or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, I hate that shit.
I don't like it. I feel like I'm going to get kicked in the face.
I don't like it at all.
But I get what they're doing.
Right.
And good on them. Just don't hit me.
Here's what I think the pit's all about, and always have. Like you were saying, it's therapy and it's a healthy way to get out of aggression. If it weren't for the pit, I'd probably be in jail for kicking somebody's ass.
Yeah.
And a perfect example, so you mentioned the Narcan. So my oldest grandson, last September, I was at a festival, got a phone call, he passed. He OD'd.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's what we're fighting against.
With Narcan on the table next to him. Like, because, addicts, they think they have it under control.
But you can't Narcan yourself.
Right. And that's what he was thinking. That's what he was thinking. But, so then, I left the festival, and then it was Riot Fest when it happened.
I'm sure I was there.
And so I left. I came back for the last day for Slayer. The funeral was the
I definitely was there.
Yeah, the funeral was the day before, and I just went into that Slayer pit and let all of my pain out and left it in the pit, because it's not about hurting and maiming people. I hate that. No. Like, you don't go in there to hurt and maim people.
It's about jostling around and getting it, and next thing you know, you might be lifted up above the crowd. You might be, if someone, we preach, and we even have a shirt, it's, the rules of the pit. If someone falls down, we pick them up.
Yeah.
And that's a motto for Punk Rock Saves Lives. We didn't come up with it. It's been there forever, but it's true.
Yeah.
And why is it not a rule? It's a rule of the pit. Why is it not a rule in life?
Right.
So if you see someone down, help them. That's why we try to get so much Narcan into the scene. If somebody's got it in their pocket and somebody collapses, it doesn't have to be someone at the punk show. You could be walking to your hotel and there's a poor, unfortunate soul on the ground, and if someone didn't take 5 seconds to give them Narcan, they might be gone.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Not all of them want to be saved. Obviously, but let's do our best to do what we can.
But they may have wanted to be saved 10 years from now when they realize they did want to be saved.
Yeah, there's so many people that would tell you that I thought I would be dead at 27. I'm sure glad I'm not.
Right? I never thought I was going to make it past 30.
No, we all, in this, musicians and punk rockers, metalheads, we all say that, and we probably did a lot of damage to our bodies when we were that young, and we all are living with it now. I've been on my feet for probably 60 hours the last 3 days, and we got 2 more to go. And man, I wish my knees didn't feel like they do. But, it's, but I wouldn't change a minute of every scar, every broken rib, every whatever, you know what I mean? It's not, you can't, that's part of this learning thing I was talking about. Getting hurt or releasing something or falling and breaking your hand in a pit or something like that. Getting in a fight with some Nazis or, you know what I mean? And you might get hurt, but you'll be stronger from it eventually.
Well, my best bro, who also passed away like the year before, we used to say, like, in the later years, like, remember when you used to get into those fights that you knew you were going to get your ass kicked, but you did it anyway? And that was really what you did. Like, especially my size, I went into plenty of fights that I knew I was going to get my ass kicked, but I did it anyway.
Is this Billy Betts and the Made Men?
I think so, yes.
It's a wonderful new band from Atlanta, guys. Go check out these kids. I think since this started, we probably should close up, but please come check us out at every festival. We're trying to be just at about everything. We tour with a lot of amazing bands anywhere on the spectrum, from Bowling for Soup to we've toured with Bayside, we've toured with Mad Caddies, we've toured with Voodoo Glow-Skulls. We try to tour with every type of genre, every type of music, and do some good. And you can always find us at punkrocksaveslives.org. Reach out. Let's do some good together. If you need help, we'll do our best to help you out.
I love it. I love what you do. I love it. I love what you do. And you guys really are saving lives.
We're trying. So thank you for having us, and I can't wait to hear this. And hopefully you pick someone up.
And I hope we get enough message out there that you can change a lot more lives. And thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.